Hello everyone, once again we're going to continue on with the Gospel of Thomas. This is going to be part 7. And we're going to start with 71. But to be honest, I don't really have a whole lot to explain about 71. It says, I will destroy this house, and no one will be able to build it again. Jesus is talking about destroying a few houses, but the only one that I've really seen him talk about and destroy that's not going to be able to be built again is when he talks about the end, when the great serpent, which is supposed to be, I guess, the biggest, most powerful nation on earth, by far, apparently. In the end times, this nation is put down after it runs amok. I'm guessing that's what that is. It's kind of hard to tell, though. There's not really a lot to go on there. I actually even looked it up and couldn't find much. But the good news is that there's tons of really useful stuff in here. 72. A person said to him, tell my brothers that they have divided my father's possessions with me. So, someone stops Jesus on the road and says, tell my brothers to divide my father's stuff, with me, now that my dad died. And Jesus said to him, who has made me a divider? Or like, man, who has made me a divider? He turned to his disciples and said, I am a divider? Am I? Jesus is saying here is that the view God and Jesus have on the land is that God owns the land. God created everything. Everything is God's. It's just for people to use temporarily, but it's God's. And it even says many times that God will come back for the land. Which is kind of a scary thought because lots of it we've done a lot of damage to. So Jesus is just saying, I don't divide up land, and I don't have anything to do with that kind of trying to own things that you don't, right? People trying to own the land like that is just, you could call it a sin, I would say. It's a mistake. The land is not yours to own. And the fact that people do it and claim it is pretty silly. But I guess that's the only way people know how to deal with stuff. Jesus says, the harvest is plentiful, but there are few workers. But beg the Lord that he may send workers into the harvest. I'm sure there's some kind of hidden meaning into that, but it's real short and there's not much there. On the surface it's saying if you don't have enough workers and you pray, the Lord will probably send you some workers. But there's probably another second hidden meaning in there. I don't know what it is. Although I don't imagine it's too deep, though. There's not much there. 74, he said, Lord, there may be many around the well, but there is nothing in the well. And when they talk about a well being dry or people being thirsty, it means people are looking for the Lord or some kind of spiritual guidance, or they have spiritual needs. And when there's nothing in the well and the well is dry, it means that there's no real material for them to learn from. There's no person of God around them to enlighten them. And for these people, it sounds like it's like today, where you go to church and you seek a spiritual connection with God, and they don't have any kind of meditation for you at all. They just want you to give them some money and go say, "Oh, help me, God," in the corner, so like try to meditate without meditating, kind of thing. That's what they have you do. They're like, "Go pray, just say some stuff in the corner and you'll be good." But that's the whole scam. $75, Jesus says, "Many are standing before the door, but it is the solitary ones who will enter the wedding hall." This is trying to say that if you had the less connections, the less bonds you have with humans, other people, the easier it will be for you to connect with God through your meditation. Because the more connections you have, the more things you have to disconnect from. You have to let go of attachments. So the more attachments you have, the more of them you have to figure out how to let go. So, unlike most of the Gospels, this Thomas pushes spirituality a lot, to the point to where he's saying, even go out of your way to be alone when you're trying to find God, at least. $76, Jesus says, "The kingdom of the Father is like a merchant who had merchandise and found a pearl." The pearl is going to be God. This is going to be just like the fisherman and the guy that catches the big fish and throws all the little fish back. This is the exact same thing. The guy finds the pearl, which is like the big fish, which is like God. And then the rest of the stuff is just insignificant. You know, at one point in your life it was important. Now it's not. Now it says the merchant is prudent. He sold the goods and bought for himself the pearl alone. So just like with the fish, he threw the little fish back, kept the big fish. Just like with your material stuff, when you find God, you start getting rid of your material stuff, just like it says. He starts getting rid of his goods. He sold the goods. When you find God, you start getting rid of your material stuff, because you realize that it really is useless. And you might as well start getting rid of it. You too look for his treasure, which does not perish, which stays where no moth can reach it to eat it, nor worm to destroy it. That's just another clever way of saying that God's kingdom is inside you. God's treasure then is inside you. There's no place where that treasure is going to be destroyed or eaten or stuff. Again, it's saying God's world and everything is stronger and more real than the material world, even though the material world, you can't feel and touch things. $77, Jesus says, "I am the light that is over all. I am the all. The all came forth out of me, and to me the all has come." Split a piece of wood, I am there. Lift a stone, and you will find me there. This is more or less just saying that God is the creator, and therefore he's the creator of all things. Therefore, the light that reaches the planet, God has something to do with that. God created the plants and animals and stuff, so wherever you look, is God's there, right? I mean, everything. 78, Jesus says, "Why do you go out to the countryside to see a reed shaken by the wind? And to see a person dressed in soft clothing like your kings and your great powerful persons? They are dressed in soft clothing and will not be able to recognize the truth." This looks like it's just saying, when you become too attached to material things, you will become blind. It's just the nature of things. The more you appreciate material things, the less you appreciate God. That's how it works. You can't serve two masters, like it says. And I guess the other thing it's saying is, in general, people that are overly material are not going to be ones that recognize the truth. 79. A woman in the crowd said to him, "Hail the womb that carried you and the breast that fed you." He said to her back, "Hail those who have earned the word of the Father and have truly kept it." Then it says, "For there will be days when you will say, 'Hail to the womb that has not conceived and the breasts that have not given milk.'" I had to look this up because this was a little weird. This is actually kind of spliced up from different stuff. These parables in here, in these verses and stuff, are interesting because they've taken little bits out of the Bible, what's in the Bible now, here and there, and little lines. It's kind of like somebody went through and put a lot of these together by hand to try to make a certain meaning. And the way they did it is interesting because they seem to have used almost all stuff that's in the Bible somewhere, but they have just cut little tiny pieces out here and there and put them in here. And this one is a kind of interesting one in that it takes apart from Matthew and Luke in the first part here about the woman saying, "Hail to Jesus." That's in Matthew and Luke, but the last part here is actually totally separate, and in the last part of Luke 23:29, and it's kind of like a pieced together parable from all those different parts. And this last piece is actually talking about the end times. So they took two separate parables, more or less, here, and then they made them one. It's kind of interesting. So it starts with this first part where the lady says, "Hail Jesus," and then Jesus says, "Well, hail back to people that are actually God's people." And then it says, in the end times, though, however, there's going to be times where you're going to appreciate that people aren't having babies, and it's going to be hard. The next line that actually came after that in Luke 23:29 was, "May the mountains fall on us," and that sort of thing, like they're really having problems. 80, Jesus says, "Whoever has come to know the world has found the dead body. But whoever has found the dead body of him the world is not worthy. I think this is either talking about Christ or meditation, and they're almost one and the same to me, because Christ, like, he's just all about meditation, just like his twin Thomas here, right? So the dead body is probably either meditation, you found meditation, and then you found God, and then the world is not worthy of you, or just you found Christ. Christ is the dead body, and then I'm pretty sure it's something like that. 81, Jesus says, "Whoever has become rich should become king, and the one who has power should renounce it." Now what this is trying to say is, this is an old wise saying about those who don't seek power and don't want power are the ones that should have it. And this world is a test regarding that. So if in this world you desire power, you should not be king. So if in this world you do not desire power, and you see how it's corruptible and it can corrupt you and you don't want anything to do with it, then you are fit to have power, right? Okay. 82, Jesus says, "The person who is near me is near the fire, and the person who is far away from me is far from the kingdom." So what this is saying is, in a couple of the videos I did before, I talked about how when you do meditation and you get to a certain point, when you get to the upper chakras, your body starts to burn. A lot of people describe it. Usually people describe it as burning because it feels like it kind of feels like you're burning in a way. It kind of feels like sunshine on your skin, like all over, like inside you, like all inside you. And so that is kind of a burning feeling. It's not burning as much as just, it feels warm. But they say that you burn in your meditation because of that. When you get the higher chakras, your body starts tingling and feeling warm and stuff like that. This is burning, what they say. So it's saying the person who is near me is near the fire. So if you're burning in your meditation, you're very near to Jesus. And then the one that's far away from Jesus is not near the kingdom. The kingdom is your temple, your body, and then in your body you do these things. It's just saying the opposite of the first line. Jesus says, "The images are visible to humanity, but the light within them is hidden from the image." This is trying to describe, pretty poorly I might add, but this is trying to describe how when you're in your meditation, God does appear when you get all the way to the top and stuff, and you're successful. But you don't get to actually see what God looks like. It's just there's a bright light that protects God's, and so you see the light. So this is saying that the image is hidden within the light. And then it says, "The light of the Father will reveal itself, but his image is hidden by the light." I mean, that just further describes what I'm saying. This is pretty straightforward. Actually, it's not that difficult to understand. It's actually not that hidden. I don't think there's two meanings even in that. It just straight up tells you this light that you see is revealing, or hiding the image. 84, Jesus says, when you see your likeness, you are full of joy. Now, this is an interesting thing because when you do feel God in your meditation, you feel a likeness. Partially because you have aligned yourself enough with God to where you agree with Him, and you can feel this agreement. It's interesting. So here it says, when you see this likeness, you are full of joy. That's describing, you can feel how God feels somehow, and that there's a likeness there. But when you see your likeness that came into existence before you, you neither die nor become manifest. How much will you bear? Okay, now this is talking about when you get into your meditation, you have to confront things. And the more things you have hidden in your closet or in your past and stuff like that, the more skeletons in your closet sort of thing, the more you will have to bear. So it's saying, how much will you have to bear from your past, your likeness that came into existence before you? So this is talking about not dealing with your current problems, but when you go into meditation, you will, for the first time, you will have to deal with your biggest problems that are hidden in your past. And depending on how many skeletons in your closet and stuff, will depend on how much you will have to bear. And these things, they call it your monkey mind. And when your monkey mind is unsettled and has skeletons, and you have skeletons in your closet, this monkey mind is unsettled and it's running around in your mind. When you get into your meditation, you have to manifest your hands, and you have to tame this monkey mind. It doesn't always look just like a monkey. People report all kinds of different little critters that look a little bit different, but everybody reports something very similar looking even. Something that's kind of like a monkey. The other part of that story is that when you're in meditation, the mirror, like what people usually call it, this round thing that you can see images in and it changes and stuff, they call that the elephant. And they say like you're looking at an elephant's behind, and you can either be behind the elephant or in different places and stuff. So some people, they use this analogy like the mirror is the elephant and the monkey mind is this critter that runs around, and you have to like somehow control the elephant. You can follow it, you can try to lead it, and you have to tame the monkey. You have to do something with the monkey. Some people say they put the monkey on top of the elephant. Some people do other things with the monkey. There's all kinds of different ways of dealing with things in the meditation. It's a whole different new world. Now, let's see. So then I was on 84. Then it says, oh, okay, I kind of went over it. Yeah, so you'll have to confront stuff, and depending on how much stuff you have to confront, it'll be harder or easier. '85. Adam came from a great power and a great wealth. but he did not become worthy of you. Apparently Adam was a real failure, it seems. For if he had been worthy, then he would not have tasted death. Apparently, according to what everything is saying with this stuff, Adam knew nothing about meditation. And I find this kind of an interesting story because I wonder where Adam was supposed to learn meditation from, or if he was really just supposed to completely figure out all by himself. There's kind of a dilemma there, but the whole Adam and Eve thing is kind of a dilemma itself. I won't get into that though. That's something completely different. Okay. 86. Jesus says, "Foxes have their holes and birds have their nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head down to rest." Yeah, this is the old, we're the most intelligent species, but we're the only ones that pay rent, right? So, is that really intelligent, right? Is what this is saying. This is saying that the colonial type, I would say, has kind of run amok with the planet. They seem to be the ones that have gone around and created the new world, which requires rent and that sort of thing, right? Like if you look at native cultures, civilizations, you don't find a whole lot of rent. You just find people occupying land and trying to make things work. But then you get into the colonial societies and all of a sudden you have landowners and renters. And see, this is a problem with Jesus because Jesus doesn't want to have anything to do with parceling out the land for money like that. The land belongs to God, and then in turn it belongs to God's people. Like free for them to use, not to be parceled out for sale, right? '87, Jesus says, "Wretched is the body that depends on a body." This is talking about the lust thing that people went to. People are too obsessed with lust and people's bodies and stuff, then they depend on it or something like that, and that's a problem. And wretched is the soul that depends on these two. So it's just saying if lust drives you, wretched is going to be your soul. '88, Jesus says, "The messengers and the prophets are coming to you, and they will give you what belongs to you."